Hello guys. So UPSC Prelims 2026 is over. Now some of you are confident and some of you are uncertain and some of you are continuously checking the answer keys, the cutoff predictions, Telegram discussions, YouTube analysis and trying to calculate your marks and to see whether you are in safe zone or not, whether I have to prepare for mains or not, and all these are there in your mind. But today I want to tell you something very important. The most dangerous period in your UPSC preparation is not before prelims. It is the 10-15 days immediately after the prelims, the first 2 weeks immediately after the prelims, because this is the period many serious aspirants they stop preparing and start speculating. And that's exactly where rankers separate themselves from the crowd. So I have seen last year toppers Vikas, whose rank is 27, my mentee, Kiran, 53rd rank in his sixth attempt, he started preparing the very next day after prelims and started writing answers from the very first day. And I've started seeing his answers on that day. Rohin, his rank is 39, also did the same. Sonali, her rank is 89, who did the same. And Sachin, last year, 41st rank, he have written almost 5,000 answers. You can look at his podcast. I'll give all the podcast of all these, my mentees and their testimonials also. See what they have done. This is exactly what they have done. They have never wasted that 2 weeks and they started preparing next day and started writing also the very next day. So this is exactly where I told you the rankers separate themselves, from the regular crowd. So see what aspirants think. Let me wait for the result because I'm not sure, I'm uncertain, right? But the future ranker thing, it's not necessary this year. You have to be in that momentum. So you have done the prelims and you already are in a very good momentum, but this 2 weeks can take out that momentum from you. If you are losing that momentum, then to come back to the track is very difficult. Now imagine if you're clearing the prelims, then this week if you strategically prepare, you are getting a head start. If not, you are in the momentum. So even if you are not able to clear, then what happens? You are still continuing your preparation. You will be completing the mains, and then you are not losing in between. You are not taking break also. You are still in the cycle, and you can do very well in the next prelims, and then you are already well prepared for the mains, right? So if there is even a reasonable chance also in your case for clearing this exam, don't think about I'm safe or anything. Even if a wide chance is there, even if chance is not there, right, still you have to give this exam next year. So forget about a reasonable chance, but still let me tell you, if there is a reasonable chance or if there is a wide chance, then your mains preparation should start today. Remember, prelims only decides whether you enter the stadium, and mains decides whether you are going to reach the podium, right? So this is just an elimination process. Now the selection process is going to start. And therefore, this discussion, what I'm going to do in this video, it's not about the cutoff. So today's discussion is about how you're going to prepare for mains from here onwards. And what actually produce the rankers, because I've seen very close, especially Sachin, 41st rank last year, and this year, Vikas, Rohin, Kiran, and Sonali. I've seen their journey closely. I've taken these names because these are very familiar to you, and these are in the hundreds. Multiple, so many rankers I've seen and I've closely worked with them. So with that experience, and I have seen the mindset of the students who crack this exam, who comes in the first 100, who comes in the rank list, who goes to the interview, who couldn't clear the prelims, who couldn't clear the mains. I've seen all these categories. Okay, now let's understand the biggest misconception, the biggest misunderstanding or misconception about mains. See, most of the students think mains preparation means studying more content. That is completely wrong. Let me repeat, mains is not a content examination. If content alone produce ranks, you see, libraries will be full of toppers. Most serious aspirants, already possess enough content, right? So the real challenge is something else. And most of the serious aspirants, they have attended the classes, they have gone through the materials, they have collected the materials, they have read everything, they're studying for 18 hours. So almost every serious aspirants possess the content. It doesn't make any difference. So the one which makes that difference is something else. And see, mains consist of three separate battles. Let's start with that. The first one definitely is the content. Content is important, content is king, content matters, but that's just one part, or that's just one battle. And that's not the prelims content that you have prepared. Mains content, which is completely different, which is completely analytical. It's a multi-dimensional content. It is issue-based content. It is current affair integrated content. And many students make a mistake. They study the same topic for prelims and mains in the same way. And that approach is no longer going to work out. I'll give you an example. For example, if I ask, what is federalism? That's a basic question, right? But what UPSC can ask, they can ask you competitive federalism, cooperative federalism, fiscal federalism, the role of governors, centrally sponsored scheme, interstate council, GST council. All these are connected with federalism. So suddenly the same topic, right, that we discussed as federalism, that now require multiple dimension, different analysis, different examples you have to give, and contemporary relevance, criticism, solution. So if I simply prepare for federalism, then if the question is asking about centrally sponsored scheme which is related to federalism, or GST council which is also related to the same, the examples that you need to give, the analysis that you need to give, and the content also will be different. And that is mains. So I hope you understood that's the kind of preparation that you need in mains. So the misconception need to be removed that if I prepared this topic for prelims, that is going to work out for mains. No, that's not the case. Here, the game is different. Second battle is thinking. And this is where most aspirants fail. It's not about writing. I'll come to writing part. It's about thinking. See, when the question appears on the paper, what happens inside in your mind? That determines your mark. And many students read the question and immediately start writing. So what I've seen is these toppers, right? As I told you, I have very good, connection with them, and I have seen how they have evolved also from the scratch. I have seen how they have started answer writing onwards. I have seen some of them I have seen from 3 years, some of them I have seen for 4 years also. So they do something different. They first try to decode the question. So they'll ask, what exactly UPSC is asking in this? And what are the different dimensions in this? What extra I can bring in this? How can I get that 16 quality answers in that question paper? And what framework can be applied to that particular question? So we have different framework and structures for different types of questions based on the keywords. So which framework, what is a hidden demand in the question? What extra I can add that others may not add? How that can make a difference, right? So the difference between 90 marks and 120 marks, that basically lies not in knowledge, the content. As I told you, if you're a serious aspirant, everyone possesses good amount of content. It's about the interpretation, right? It's about the thinking process. It's about the presentation part. And the most important skill in UPSC mains, let me tell you, something I have observed after interacting with a lot of successful students. The highest scoring students are not necessarily the most knowledgeable. They are often the fastest thinkers, not fastest writers, not having so much of content. They are the fastest thinkers. Because if the points, come quickly in your mind, then naturally the flow will be there. Writing becomes so easy. But if thinking process is slow, even a good handwriting, even with good content, even with good speed, that cannot save you. That is why writing is actually thought writing, and the real skill is the point generation, right? See, why most test series fail students. This is one of the biggest mistake made by the aspirants. They follow the sequence, right? Content, 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 and test series. And then they are shocked when they cannot complete the paper. Why? Because nobody taught them the middle layer. What is the missing part? That answer writing training. And that's exactly what we do in our mentorship program. Not answer writing practice, answer writing training. There is a difference between writing a test. There is a difference between answer writing practice and training. Before writing answers, you should be knowing how to think and how to structure the particular question. What is the demand of the exam? What is a keyword? How to generate different dimensions? What is the exact demand of the examiner? How to create that very good introduction which get the attraction of the examiner, which is going to be catchy, which is going to be straight getting into the particular question which is asked, how you're going to conclude. So without learning, answer writing skill or learning these kind of skills, the test series also is is not going to work out, it becomes simply frustrating. And many students write only 4 or 5 answers in a 3-hour test during the test series. Not because they are weak, but because they never learned how to think for mains. Right. So let me tell you a 4-step process, right? Or 4-step that you need to follow. That is what I have seen the successful candidates, my mentees have followed, and they have done, and they scored brilliant in the mains. If you look at Sachin's score, he got GS, he's a GS topper in 2024, and essay also, he's one of the topper, and ethics also. If you look at Nilesh Goyal, it's the same. If you look at Vikas, it's the same. Kiran, if you see, he improved 70 mark in GS compared to previous year. So I have seen them, I have associated with them, I have helped them, I have evaluated the papers. So from this, I'm giving you a 4-step ranker framework, I would call it as. See, I believe every ranker follow these 4 stages. First and most importantly, as I told you, the content, right? You acquire the quality mains content, irrespective of the sources or your mentor or whatever. Not bulky content, not like 20 PDFs, not 50 compilation, but focus content for whatever syllabus is there. And then what I want you to have is that structured thinking. You learn the frameworks, stakeholder approach, constitutional approach, ethical approach, governance approach, historical approach, international approach. Now, these are what I teach in my sessions. And once you understand these frameworks, how you answer. For example, in essay, we talk about chronological approach, we talk about pastel approach, right? So this is how we do essay. We have certain approaches. Similarly, when it comes to answer writing also, like constitutional approach, ethical approach, governance approach, stakeholder approach, historical approach, international approach. And once you understand these framework, then every question is becoming manageable, because now the thought process is also getting easy because you know the approach. Right now, your thoughts will also be going to fit into that with the content. Third is answer writing. See, only now you should be start writing the answer, and writing should be properly timed, which means time bound, disciplined, and regular, not random. And the fourth one that you have to follow is the simulation, right? The testing in during exact time, like full length test, like 20 questions, 3 hours in the real condition, real exam scenario, because UPSC is not evaluating one answer. UPSC is evaluating your ability to write 20 answers, out of which 16, if you look at my podcast with Vikas, Rohin, Kiran, he improved 60 marks. Sachin, his GS topper. Sonali, all these are ranks in 100. My mentees, their podcast, one thing they tell, all of them, this is what I taught them. This is what, because there is something common in all these 5, so that you can understand how we have built it, right? So they all will tell you 16, 17 answers that need to be at most quality. And one you may not be knowing, rest of the 2 on an average way, but you will try to complete the paper. This is what UPSC is looking for. Right? For that, you need to manage your time. You need to sit in the real condition. You need to attempt all the question, and how to get that quality, know the framework, have the thinking process, start answer writing practice. See, why I tell you interpretation matter more than the knowledge. This is one of the biggest mistake I've seen in answer copies. I've evaluated thousands of copies. So students, they answer the topic, right? But they won't answer the question. There is a huge difference. You know this topic, but the question may be demanding something different, maybe a different dimension, right? Let us say UPSC is asking, why is caste both static and fluid? Let's say this question is from GS1 and from your society. So why caste is both static and fluid? And many students write everything they know about caste. Right, you start talking about the 4 varnas, Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, and Dalits, which are untouchables, exploitation, inequality, poverty, all these. But UPSC is specifically asking why it is static, at the same time why it is fluid, and how both coexist. And the student who understand the demand here, they score higher, not the students who write more. So that is why I told you content alone is not enough. Thinking, understanding what is the demand of the examiner, interpretation. So always remember, half the battle is won the moment you correctly interpret the question. So it's ultimately understand the demand of the question. Once you correctly interpret the question, half the battle is done. Right? Now, what can be the strategy GS paper wise? Let's start with GS2. That's a hidden rank booster because GS1 and GS3, some kind of uncertainty is always there. But GS2 and ethics is more of safe and essay also. See, most students think GS2 is only polity, but that's not the case. GS2 include polity, governance, social justice, international relation. So many aspirants study polity deeply and ignore remaining areas, and that's a big mistake. GS2 often becomes one of the most rewarding paper because the questions are very much predictable in GS2. And the frameworks are also very clear, just like I have mentioned before. And the current affair integration, you will be very strong also in this paper. And it focuses heavily on governance reforms, welfare delivery, federalism, judiciary, social justice, contemporary IR, international relation issues. So this is going to be more of predictable and more of high scoring. That's why GS2 and ethics usually are high scoring. GS3 is low scoring and GS1 sometimes unpredictable also. And GS3 is the most misunderstood paper. Many students, they believe marks don't come in GS3. But I disagree. I have seen my people who have done Sachin, who is GS national topper, but he scored 83 only. So that is why some of you face this problem. But I disagree to this thought also. See, the average, if you take, it may be low, but the differentiation is huge. Most students, what happens in GS3 is they write very, very generic answers and very few write analytical answers. So I myself are seeing the papers. In fact, I myself, when I've taken the test, I also did the same, right? So I know that majority will write generic answers because majority of the question is very clearly familiar to you. So you write random things, but very few. They write analytical answers with real content depth. So here, actually, this create an opportunity. So what GS3 rewards? GS3 reward if you properly understand economic survey, if you know how to use the data properly, if you have that analytical thinking and you can show, and if it is reflected in your paper, and if you can add contemporary example. See the topics like economy, agriculture, disaster management, internal security, science and technology, that can actually become major score boosters if you handle it in that way. And what is the ultimate differentiator when it comes to GS? It is the ethics paper. So today's ethics is no longer a very simple paper. You need to have that at most conceptual clarity that's what matters. And see, students memorize definitions. What is integrity? What is conscience, etc. But that's not the case. So here, rankers, my toppers, they won't memorize things. They understand the concepts and they apply those concepts. So you definitely have to learn ethical reasoning here, stakeholder mapping, case study handling, practical solutions. And always remember, ethics is not about philosophy. Ethics is about judgment, right? So see, essay. Essay is the most dangerous paper. It can be highly scoring. See, I've seen some students who are in fact really good. Last year, one of my topper, I don't exactly remember his name. Uh, he scored 80 last year. This year he got 120. So this is completely getting unpredictable also. And because yes, Vigas itself, I think it is Vigas, 27th rank, one in the top 100 only. I have seen that in the podcast, but I cannot recollect it now. But last year, what Vikas or Rohin, the reason why he couldn't get that top 100 is because of ethics, right? But that has changed anyway. See, every year you see the candidates are scoring 70, 80, 90 also. But at the other side, you'll be seeing in the same year 120, 130, 140 also. And the difference is not in the content, definitely. So if you're doing really good in GS, then what is the difference when it comes to essay in terms of content? The difference is in expression. So that means what you need to understand here is essay is not just about the content. It's about clarity. It's about the structure. It's about the flow. And it's about the continuity. It's about the perspective. It's about the balance you bring in and the depth that you reflect in the paper and the maturity that you express or show in the paper. So you must have to brainstorm properly and you should be knowing how to open the essay properly, how to transition, how to use that structure words, that connectors, connecting words, and how to conclude properly. Essay is a skill and it's not just a content dump. If you think that that's the paper where I can dump all the content which I've studied if I get a particular topic, that's not going to work out. You need clarity, you need the flow, you need the structure, you need the continuity, you need the connectors, you need the balance, this pastel approach and all, the political, administrative, societal, technological, economic and all, it's not going to work out. It's going to be cliche. The chronological approach, all these are gone. So we need to find some alternatives, right? And society, I've seen this. Many students ignore this because you feel like it is known to you. You spend hundreds of hours for history and geography. You spend for prelims also, now for mains also, and almost you spend no time on society. But it is equally important, right? And you can see society increasingly contributes substantial mark actually, almost equal to, it is almost 1/3. History, geography, and society, it's almost 1/3. Nowadays, if you see, the questions are becoming more analytical, more opinion based, and more contemporary also. And in fact, sociology students are doing very good. That means if you have the knowledge, you'll be able to do good. So others, if you are ignoring, that's not a good. If you are a sociology student and then then you ignore, that is something different. But others ignoring society by thinking that this is very much general, that's like committing suicide. So there are topics like caste, tribe, gender, migration, globalization, social change. It requires nuanced understanding. You need to know what exactly is this. Not generic statement is no more going to work out in the future. Understand that. So these are no more just general topics. You need proper understanding. You need to know the fundamental concepts, right? So let me tell you now what I have learned or understood from my toppers, my rankers. I'll take these names. AAR 27 Vikas, AAR 39 Rohin, AIR 41 Sachin, AIR 53, that is Kiran, in his last attempt, eighth attempt, right? And Sachin last year, he got 41st rank. Kiran and Sachin attempted the interview in the same day, same panel. So they met, and that's how Kiran also came to know about me from Sachin. And after that, he joined our program. And this year, he improved 70 mark in mains and he got 53rd rank in his sixth attempt. Think about it. Imagine if he couldn't crack it in the sixth attempt. Now where he is, otherwise where he should be. Rank 89, Sonali Jha. See, what I've understood from this is one thing is very clear. None of them succeeded because they found magical notes or any magical strategy or anything. None of them succeeded because they studied 18 hours also. Their advantage was there was very good clarity. Kiran, no, this is my last attempt. This is the year. And if I'm not getting it, means I'm finished. So there was clarity on execution, what to read. We have told them, we have guided them properly, what to read, how to stick to this, and what not to read, how to think, how to write, how to interpret, how to logically connect to the question, how to revise. That made the real difference. So now we have 82 days, right? Let me give you a practical roadmap for this. Now, this month of June, this is a content completion phase. So focus on your GS coverage, optional coverage, theme-wise preparation, and the goal is to build a strong foundation because content matters. Along with this, you start writing answer, right? And July should be full of answer writing practice. So there you focus on daily writing, framework application, the ones which we teach you, and question interpretation. So here the goal is build writing muscle. And in August, that's the test simulation phase. There you don't have time to study. So here you're going to take full length test, improve the speed, try to complete the test in time, and you build that exam temperament. So that's the goal. So June, your focus is on building the foundation, completing the syllabus. July, revision, revise, build writing muscle, answer writing. And August, it's about simulation, build exam temperament, revision. And final month, again, revision. This is where ranks are made. No new sources, no new PDF, no new experiment you're going to do. Revision, writing. So let me conclude with one important point. Most aspirants, they believe UPSC is a knowledge competition. See, those students who cleared and those who couldn't clear, I've seen them closely. There are many who are much more knowledgeable than those who have cleared. We got surprised also by seeing many, very much surprised. The kind of knowledge that they have, the depth they have, but they couldn't clear even the mains. So it's not about knowledge competition. UPSC is a thinking competition, it's a writing competition, and then a discipline competition, and then a consistency competition, not a motivation competition. Knowledge, of course, is important, but that comes much later. So if you can think clearly, if you can structure quickly, and if you can write effectively, and if you can revise consistently, you can outperform the candidate who may know far more than you. Don't think about that person as IIT and he did BTech, MTech, and PhD and all. He's much more knowledgeable, sitting in front of you, sitting next to you in the library. If you are having that thinking capacity, if you structure quickly, if you write effectively, if you revise consistently, you are far superior than that person who know much more than you. So the next 85 days, 82 days, are not about studying harder. What is it all about? They're about preparing smarter. And if you do that consistently, this mains attempt that you're going to give, that can become your last mains attempt as an aspirant and your first step towards becoming a civil servant. So if you would like to join our classes, mentorship program, test series, get in touch with us. I see you there. I personally mentor you there. So thank you guys. See you.